ask you to give us description of the human tragedy going on.
May I use the expression political tragedy, because what happened in Gaza really is it's a major defeat for the development of humanity in our world today. Because what we see playing out under our eyes is the total lack of respect for international humanitarian laws. And this is a question for you and me, for everyone. If you live in Africa or in South Africa, in Europe or in Norway, this degeneration in the respect for international humanitarian laws is really a huge moral problem. What we see in Gaza is that the civilian population of 1.7 million people are void of any protection from the laws that we thought was regulating the interaction between humans, even in war times, even in conflict. And this is not happening with a sort of an uncontrolled army of guerrilla fighters or some religious fanatics like Boko Haram. This is the Israeli governmental army with full support from the US government that are killing children, women, civilians by the thousands, without being stopped. Not by EU, not by the Western governments. They are not even receiving any needed criticism. It's only sort of, please, please, respect, please, please. No sanctions, no economical punishment of the State of Israel, no political punishment, peaceful legal means, which are being used against any other rulers who so brutally kill civilians as the Israeli army and the government are doing. So what we are seeing is really not only a humanitarian disaster, it is a disaster for the global governance that we try to establish and that the world powers are responsible for. Now, if we don't have these international laws protecting the civilians and the human rights, where are we heading? Where are we heading? When these enormously strong armies can kill, like they have done in Gaza, hundreds of children and saying, oh, we're targeting military targets, you know. I think it is a huge problem for everyone.
You are a direct witness of the crimes. Can you describe me the situation of the children, women, civilian who are victims?
Well, you and your audience, you know the Arab family. You know the largeness, the coherence, the togetherness, the sumud of the Palestinian people and the families. Now they are being attacked on every front. The Israelis are taking the electricity away from them. They bombed the central power plant yesterday. They are destroying their water by bombing pipelines and water supply lines. They are destroying the sewage system. They are bombing their schools, their mosques by the 10th. They are attacking their hospitals. But most importantly, maybe, they are bombing homes, residential areas, systematically. Now, when dawn came after the Shayyan massacre that night, it looked like Hiroshima. And we were, what's happening? In here, people were living, ordinary, good Palestinian people. Poor, yes. Political, no. Palestinians, yes. And they were carpet bombed throughout 18 hours with no mercy. We had telephone calls coming from families stuck in the buildings being bombed, desperately asking for help, telling the ambulance central that we have injured, bleeding, please come, please come. Impossible. No safe way, no safe haven for ambulances, for paramedics, for hospitals. People that night bled to death in their homes whilst the Israelis were bombing these civilian targets. Of course, for the Palestinian family, this is a disaster. They lose their loved ones, they lose their children, they lose their homes, they lose their security, and as of now, more than 200,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been made refugees in their own country by this systematic Israeli bombing of their habitat, of their living quarter, of their homes. In addition, of course, comes all the injuries. More than close to 7,000 now. And all the killed, more than 1,000 now, of whom every fourth is a child, Of the injured, every third is a child. Of the injured, every second is a child or a woman.